So your quiz will look just like this. There are two that are exponential and two that are logarithmic, okay? So up at the top, I would write log and exponential. Do you remember which one gets which type of asymptote? Exponential gets horizontal. Good. If you want to think of like there's three horizontal lines in the E there. Log gets vertical. If you want to think of like the L in log is a vertical line. And again, if you come up with a better trick than that, please let me know. I'm not being sarcastic. That's the best I've got. Also for exponential, domain is all reals. And for logarithmic, range is all reals. So those are like your automatic answers. So you want to do that stuff first. All right, and off we go. Transformations. Remember, the base doesn't cause a transformation. So that 1/2 doesn't do anything. The transformations are that negative and the +2. So what are our transformations here? Good. Reflect x-axis. And then up 2. Cool. What's that? Oh, I don't care what order you put it in. Since this is exponential, our domain will be all reals. And we'll have a horizontal asymptote, but not a vertical asymptote. And what will the horizontal asymptote be? Like, you want to think about how it shifted. Yeah, good. It went up 2, so that's going to be at 2. And would it be x equals 2 or y equals 2? Y equals 2. Do that stuff first, and then it will hopefully kind of calm you down. You'll be like, look, I answered like almost half of it already. Okay. So now we need to get some points. What do you want to try? 0 and 1 are good choices. Let's try those. Anything to the 0 power is 1, but it's -1 plus 2 is 1. Now, if you plug in 1, you get 1/2 to the 1. So actually, I mean, that would be a half, but I don't want to like plot a fraction. So let's not do 1. Let's go the other direction. And let's do -1. Because what is the negative going to do to the fraction? Good, it'll flip it. So it'll actually be 2, but actually it's -2 plus 2 is 0. And then let's do one more. I want at least 3 points. So what other number do you want to try? We did 0, we did -1. Let's do -2. Because again, when you plug that in, the negative flips it. So instead of a half, it'll be 2. 2 squared is 4, but it's -4 plus 2, -2. And then when you plot those, it should be a swoop. And if you feel like you can't get that, make up a graph, invent something. I can take off the points for that. If everything on your list, if all of this matches what you drew, I can give you credit for the list. So it's very forgiving. Even though the material is difficult, it's very forgiving. Okay. Range goes downwards to upwards. So what is our range? Good. -infinity to 2. X-intercepts -1, 0. Good. Y-intercepts 0, 1. One of these will say none. Are we increasing or are we decreasing? Increasing is the domain, which is all reals. Decreasing is none. And then end behavior. Limit x goes to -infinity of the function. Limit x goes to +infinity of the function. One side will level off at the asymptote. The other will go either up or down. So where is the left arrow going? -infinity. And then the right arrow levels off at 2. And whatever touch 2, but it's just the behavior. Are we okay so far? Not too terrible. Same exact thing for this one, except instead of 3 points, you will only get 1. Unless you can do 2.7 to other powers, you know, without a calculator, just in your head, the only one you can do is e to the 0, because anything to the 0 power is 1. All right. What are our transformations? Up, down, left, right here. Yeah, up 4 and left 2. Again, it's exponential. So our automatic stuff, domain is everything. And we have a horizontal asymptote, not a vertical one. So what is the horizontal asymptote? Y equals 4, and then I can dot that in. Oh, okay. Now there's only one point we can plug in that's going to work out nicely without a calculator. What do you guys think? Good. -2 is correct because -2 plus 2 is 0. E to the 0, 1, and then 1 plus 4 is 5. So -2, 5 is the only point that you get. And I get that then it's like, well, now what's going on? But you remember what I told you? The graph either does what or does what? Either goes up or down. So was there a reflection in here? No. So it's going to do increasing. And for the sake of time, and also because I'm not trying to put you to sleep, I'm not going to do most of this list because we just did it here and it's the same exact concept. The only one I do want to do is the intercept. Is there an x-intercept? No. So just put none. That's a valid answer if there isn't one. And then the y-intercept. Do you see how there is one, but we didn't plot it real specifically? All you do is plug in 0 and whatever you get, leave it alone. So 0 plus 2 is 2. And so what am I going to write for that? Yeah, e squared plus 4. That's a number. It's 2.7 squared plus 4, whatever that is. Okay. I'll fill in the rest of that and post it on Schoology if you're interested in checking it. But again, I'm not trying to put you to sleep, so we'll leave that. All right, these ones are logarithmic. So inverse of what we just did. Transformations for this one. Good. That's reflect y. And up 1. So let's go do the automatic stuff. It's the reversal of what we just did. So where can I put all reals? Good. Range is all reals. And it will have a vertical asymptote, not a horizontal asymptote. So it'll look like this. Vertical, unless it shift left or right, it'll be in the center. And I don't think this one didn't go left or right, did it? No, okay, so it'll be x equals 0, and it'll go right down the center. So we want 3 points for this one. Now the logarithmic ones are harder to find points for. If you get something that doesn't work, just pick something else. You want to start where the asymptote is, in this case that's 0, and pick numbers near it. Now, you would probably be like, oh, what about 1, 2, 3? Those won't work. We're going to have to go the other way. How come? Because of the reflection. All right, so let's do -1. We'll start with that. If you plug in -1, -1 is 1. 2 to what power gives you 1? 0 plus 1 is 1. So let's try -2. You're just going to go in order, and if you get one that doesn't work, just erase it and try something else. All right, if you plug in -2, negatives cancel, so it's just 2. 2 to what power gives you 2? 1 plus 1 is 2. As a heads up, -3 won't work. What's the next one we could actually do without a calculator? Well, we did -1, -2, -3 won't work, so the next one in line would be -4. Let's try -4. Because I think that one will be good. If you plug that in, negatives cancel, you just get 4. 2 to what power gives you 4? Good. 2 plus 1 is 3. Just for the sake of like having you guys figure it out, you would try -5, -6, -7. Where's the next one that's going to work? It would be -8. Humor me because I want you to understand it. Negatives would cancel. That would just be 8. 2 to what power gives you 8? 3 plus 1, 4. Okay, so I kind of went above and beyond on that, but just so you understand how to find them. All right, go ahead and plot those. You'll get a sideways swoop. I don't know if -8, 4 will fit. Will that fit? Oh, barely. And I'll do the same thing we did on the other side of the paper. This one will do the whole list, and then on the other one, I'll kind of just fill it in and post it to Schoology. All right, so domain, left to right, it would be good. -infinity to 0. I'm going to come back to the x-intercept. There is one, we just didn't find it exactly. Y-intercept, none, which is a valid answer. There just isn't one. Are we increasing or decreasing? Decreasing. What do you put on that line though? Yeah, the domain. So -infinity to 0. And then your end behavior. You can do limit as x goes to -infinity of the function, because this is going off to -infinity. You can't go to positive infinity though, because there's nothing there. So what's the furthest you can go? 0 from the left or from the negative side. So we put a little negative there to show it's from the negative side. If it comes from the right, you would put a plus. Yeah. All right, so where does the left arrow go? Up, so positive infinity. The right arrow, negative infinity. All right, so the x-intercept, there is one, we just didn't find it exactly. You're going to set this whole thing equal to what? 0. All right, so it's log 2 negative x plus 1 equals 0. I'm going to have to write really small. Get that to fit in there. So what would you do to both sides? Yeah, subtract 1. I'm stuck. What is the base? 2 to the power -1 equals -x. I think that one's on your Quizlet. What is 2 to the -1? 1/2, just flips it. So 1/2, and then you would have to bring the negative over, so -1/2. Which if you look at it, you can kind of see that like makes sense for it to be -1/2. And then this last one's the same thing, but you can only get 1 point instead of 3 points, right? Transformations for this one, what do you guys think? Left 4, good. Good. Reflect x. And then that 1/3 out front, vertical shrink by 1/3, so it's shorter. So let's fill in the automatic stuff. And then I think I'm just going to do like one of the intercepts with you, and I'll leave the rest of it. I'll fill it in. It'll be on Schoology, but it's the same exact thing we just did here, right? What is an automatic thing we can fill in? Good. Range is everything. And each blank is worth a point. So like you fill in the automatic stuff, you're going to be like nearly at a 50% already. All right. And then what else? Good. Horizontal is none. Vertical would be x equals what? Good. It went left 4, so -4, and you can dot that in. Now you can only get 1 point. What do you want to try and plug in? And hint, it'll be next to the asymptote. Good, let's try -3. The asymptote's at -4, so you want to pick something next to that. Always start where that is. That's like your new center. -3 plus 4. That's 1. E to what power gives you 1? 0. 0 times, well, anything is 0. And you should actually be really happy about that. You should be like, yes, why is that a really good point to have? That's the intercept. In fact, go ahead and put that on your list. Now, again, the graph either goes up or goes down. What do you think? You got a 50-50 shot. Why down? Because that's correct. Reflect. Yep, perfect. You're awesome. And then again, the list is going to be largely the same as the one we did right above that. I just want to do the y-intercept. Do you see how there is one, but like we didn't find it exactly? You're going to plug in 0 and whatever you get is whatever you get, which I kind of like. You just plug in 0 and walk away. All right, 0 plus 4. It's 4. So what are you going to write for the answer? Yeah, -1/3 ln 4. And again, that's a number, just without a calculator. I don't know what it is. Anyone want to give it a guess? Here, I'll type in -1/3 times ln 4. What do you think? Look at your graph. Like, where do you estimate? It's not anywhere close to where I drew it. It looks like it would be like around -3. It's actually -0.5. It's -0.46. Should be like right there. I didn't curve this enough, but anyway, without a calculator, you wouldn't know. So, also, and I'm going to say this while I'm still recording. This unit is long and the material is difficult. So I put all the graphs on this quiz and then I don't put any graphs on the test. Do you understand what I'm saying? To try and like break it into 2 pieces for you. But because there's no overlap between the quiz and the test, I can't do that thing where I replace the quiz with the test grade. Okay. But I feel like it always helps everybody. We quiz on the graphs and then I don't put any graphs on the test. Okay.